Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Actually, he's by a local producer. Actually, local artist in town uses it, so
Right.
I use it for
Yeah. Hey.
Yo, we back once again. It's your boy Just Global Unlimited Podcast, as usual. Here on another, I'm saying unexpected day, because I know either I do mine on Wednesdays or Tuesdays or sometimes it's Saturdays. But today is Sunday. It's football day. Top of that, and I'm surprised. I mean, that's like we doing an interview on Sunday. No, I'll talk about coming out on Sundays, but I had to because I have a very, very special guest in the building today. Actually, we met on LinkedIn. This shows people like networking is everything. I mean, got to constantly network and get involved and meet people, and especially you in this type of field. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I'm terrible with names. I know you told me your name before. I'm bad with names, so I'm gonna let you introduce yourself real quick.
Okay, well, I'm Adrea Tejada.
Adrea Tejada.
Yes.
Okay. And you, Mr. Tejada, you actually Adria, you mind?
Yeah, Adria is fine. Please, don't be formal with me. I'm from Newark.
Brick City. Then.
Brick City.
Yeah.
What's
up?
Dre.
So the reason I reached out because I looked at your LinkedIn page and I seen some of the things you're involved in, and it kind of like sparked my interest. Like just to see, talk to you about some of the things that you're involved in. Like for example, the global ambassador for human rights and peace, and also the global goodwill ambassador for the U.S.
Right.
So those two, I'm gonna say organizations that you actually volunteer for to, make the world a better place, basically.
Right. So I was mostly doing a lot of volunteer work on my own, and those organizations, the International Human Rights Council and the Global Goodwill Ambassadors, recognized my work, so they appointed me a title. So I was doing it under Adrea Tejada, which I still am, but now I have a title of humanitarian and ambassador of human rights and peace. So it opens up, that window of what I can do, around, make a bigger impact around the globe.
They are both organizations are international.
Yes, both international. A lot of them are affiliated with the United Nations.
Yeah, I've seen that on the website.
Yeah,
I did my little research.
Yeah.
So, and how long so you said you started doing it on your own at first,
right?
So how long you doing it on your own, and what type of things was you doing as far as like was it like local community events, stuff you're giving back to, or how did you get involved in that?
Right. So a lot of my volunteer work is just, someone posting an opportunity, or one that I did do was for Rutgers. I work at Rutgers Newark for public safety department. So someone advertised that they needed volunteers for Earth Day.
Okay.
And, I'm all
420.
about the Earth. Not yet. I haven't done that.
Well, that's the National Earth Day is the 420.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I thought you were talking about something else.
No,
yeah.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in the future. But for now, so for that occasion, I saw that they needed volunteers, and I'm all about the Earth. I consider myself an indigenous woman, so I'm always trying to give back to the Earth. So that just was like, oh, I'm on board. I'm gonna. And so what we did was we planted flowers on the Rutgers campus. They actually in Newark. They actually have a place where rare birds come to.
Okay.
And migrate there. They don't know why, but it's right in the middle of the plaza where these birds come from all over the world.
Nature, because before man came over and made everything civilized, civilization was built. The birds probably coming there for decades and hundreds of centuries.
Exactly.
Just to, and we tore down their trees and their habitat.
Right.
And it's naturally for them to come back to their area.
Right.
So.
Yep. I believe that. And then when you say about civilized, it sparks a little activist in me. But so I started out with that, and then just other opportunities. I was involved in the New Jersey Citizen Action. I would get my taxes done there for free because I'm low income, single mom of 4. So get my
you are a single mom of 4. Speaking of Mother Earth, you are a single mom of 4.
Yes.
I mean, what's the age? The age of your sons?
I have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, 10-year-old, and 4-year-old. You have to really think.
All right, so you went from 17 down to 4.
To 4, all boys.
All boys. I know that's a handful. Is it?
It's fun though. It's a lot. I mean, in anything you do in life, it's a lot of work.
Oh, of course. But for being a parent to a volunteer is all a lot of work.
Right. It's volunteering is is easier because it's something that you want to do. So yeah, with the boys, they're fun. You get to. I'm naturally a tomboy. Anyway.
So it's easy, right?
Yeah. So we do a lot of skateboarding and surfing and outdoor stuff that I like anyway. So we're still involved with Mother Earth. So it's pretty fun.
Okay. So you mentioned that you work at the Rutgers campus in Newark.
Yes.
As the you Mr. Assistant to the Chief of Police,
right?
Director of Public Safety.
Yes.
I also seen that you also you organize self-defense against rape victims or something like that. And read on your profile.
Right. So when I came into public safety in 2010, there was they still do it, but not as often now. A self-defense course for female students and faculty and staff. Just basic self-defense. It's not karate.
It's nothing somebody up off you in the enough time to call the police to get some help.
Exactly. Just fight and flight. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a thing of fight and flight.
Yeah.
To get away as
right.
As safely as possible.
Right. Just to be aware. I think it's important for anyone to take that course, not just because you're in Rutgers Newark. People think that it's more of a dangerous place, and anywhere can be dangerous.
That happens a lot on college campuses. Period. A lot of people don't talk about it, but a lot of rape issues, or even with men or women, is in going on behind closed doors on different campuses across the country.
Right.
So that's a big issue everywhere. So it ain't just because you're in Newark.
Right.
I mean,
anywhere.
It can be anywhere. Because
be aware of your surroundings
at all times. Exactly. Because Rutgers actually is one of the biggest schools in New Jersey. Right. They have three campuses in 3 different counties in 3 different cities. Well, New Brunswick has one of Piscataway, Brunswick, and I think Highland too.
In Highland Park, there's a lot of sub campuses too. Brookdale, they have the smaller campuses.
Then they have one in Camden, in Camden City, in Camden County as well. Mm-hmm. So I mean, with the school being that big, you have to be some type of aware of what's going on. You know what I'm saying, your surroundings and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean. So, like I said, we volunteer a lot. Besides your regular job, I got a list here. I'm looking at this everybody knows, people that watch my podcast know I never had this. I never had no papers. Everything's off the top of my head. But I told them, when I looked at your profile,
right,
and I'm like, this ain't gonna be a general interview.
Right, yeah.
So I see you have not only a lot of few licenses and certifications.
Right.
I mean, National Geographic Educational certification, Climate Change International League Regimen, and the list goes on.
Right. I just dib and dab in a little bit of everything, If I see an opportunity come in my email, I just kind of go for it,
So a lot of stuff you apply online, like certifications you go through online. You can not necessarily go to any classes or anything like that, but you go online.
For my communicator. Yeah, for my communicator one, I did go to classes it's through Rutgers.
This is for the communications and marketing?
Right. Okay. So I took a lot. That's how I really started getting involved in a lot of extra certifications. Rutgers offers professional development to their staff. So you can take classes, on while you're at work, depending on your supervisor. I was, my boss afforded me to be able to take a lot of classes to, because I promoted it as whatever I learned, I could bring it back to work. So, So
which is a good thing because we're at the school. So
right. So everything else was online, just through the UN or just me wanting to better my skills, because I was doing a lot of payroll, human resources at one point.
That's all I hear as well.
That's how I started out.
Accounts payable, receivable, human resources specialist.
I just always want to know what I'm talking about,
It makes sense though. Makes sense. You don't go out there and that's why I did what I did for this interview, because I ain't want to be
right. You have to do some research. Right.
This is the one that just stood out to me: the LGBTQA Safe Zone Training Certification, certified
ally.
Certified ally. What exactly is that? Like, what's that? What that pertain of, and how do you get the certification for that?
So Rutgers, that one's through Rutgers as well. They have a class that you can take, and it basically, removes your prior perceptions of what the LGBTQ community is, and really outlines what it is, so that there is a difference between lesbian and gay and bisexual, and it teaches you the proper terminology, why it's the proper terminology, and it also makes you, once you understand the LGBTQA community, then you're able to support them as an ally.
Right.
So, I volunteered to have my office as what they call a safe zone. So I have a little plaque on my door that if anyone from that community feels unsafe or harassed or just, wanted to come in and talk to someone, I love to talk. So, they just
Which is a good thing.
They can see that on my door, and there's other people around campus that have designated their offices as a safe place to come talk about your emotions and not going to go anywhere, just to have that.
And they support this at all Rutgers campuses, not only just in North, but New Brunswick and Camden as well.
Yes, it's on all 3 campuses.
Do you go to volunteer to the other campuses as well, or you just mainly focus on not focus on, but mainly where you work at reside?
Volunteer everywhere. Yeah, I just did like 2 5K races last year on the.
2 5Ks last
I did 3 last year. 1 for Special Olympics. It was all in April too. I don't know. It was crazy. I'd never done a 5K either, and I didn't prepare.
Did you train for those?
Yeah, I was saying I'm gonna go to the gym, and didn't happen. But I completed all 3 of them under 40 minutes. So I still got some of my youth in me. Yeah. So they had on the New Brunswick campus for the vets. It's called Vets for Warriors.
I seen that on your. That's something you volunteer for as well.
Right, and volunteering with that, I didn't know anything about the organization. It was something that an organizer on LinkedIn sent to me.
Okay.
Because she saw me advertising our 5K for the Special Olympics. We run through the Lincoln Tunnel in New York, and so she saw that and she's like, "Oh, come to ours." And so that was on the Scarlet Stadium that they have in New Brunswick. And supported the vets, and I ended up learning that a lot of them don't get their medical expenses paid for. So that event was support whatever the money that we raised was to help them get more medical assistance.
So just to go back a little bit, and so you are a mother of 4.
Yes.
Prior to getting into the volunteering and to the with the global ambassadors and everything, and the goodwill, your focus wasn't on that. You was coming up.
No.
You did go to Rutgers. Actually, you did graduate from Rutgers, correct?
I'm still in school now.
Masters.
I'm still in school now.
Working on your masters.
So I'm doing a dual degree.
Okay.
So it's bachelor's and master's.
Okay.
Program that Rutgers offers. It's a 5-year program for public administration. But before that, I was at Essex County College, and I was married and got divorced, so I had to stop going to school, and I became homeless. So I had to figure out, what I wanted to do. So
you had 4 kids at the time.
I had 2 kids at the time. And I had to figure out, this is all on you. What are you gonna do? So I,
so had to step your game up.
I had to start working. I was at home mom at the time, going to school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I applied for jobs like crazy, and I got the position at the state of New Jersey Attorney General's office. But none of this other volunteering or anything was on my radar. I was just trying to like hungry, just to get a job, just to pay for your kids,
just to feed the kids,
feed the kids and pay your rent. And then once I started doing that, these little opportunities like the New Jersey Citizen Action came, where they wanted me to speak and say how me not having to pay for my taxes, my tax preparation, helped me, as a mom of 2 kids at the time.
You see what you was going through. They want you to share your story, basically.
Share my story, yeah. So other people would, know of their what their services are and can, be afforded the same thing. And that just started, like, other little things started coming my way. I guess when you put certain positive energies out there, these things start flowing back to you. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna rewind just a little bit more because we was having a conversation earlier before we got on the air.
Yeah.
You said you was born in Newark.
Right.
Then you moved to Arizona. You was in high school in Arizona.
Went to high school in Arizona, Corona del Sol.
And you came back to Jersey, but you came back to Jersey to be a model.
I came back to Jersey. My grandmother passed away, so that was So that was the reason why I came back. But then opportunities, I started coming as far as I used to work at Short Hills Mall and Express. And I was taking the bus and someone said, do you want to model or do you want to become like a promoter? And I didn't know what any of that stuff was.
How old were you at the time?
I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't know. I grew up in a Jehovah's Witness household.
So no TV, no
I didn't
Christmas.
know anything about the world at all. No, there's nothing. Just going knocking on doors. So,
the book says this.
So it just like when I was asked that, I was just like, sure, like
it's something to experience, something different.
It's something different, and and then it's in New York City. Working at, so I'm like, yes, let me, and that's probably what started my hunger too, of knowing the world, knowing what's going on, and that didn't work out too well with the modeling. They said I wasn't photogenic, stick to runway.
You said that, they said that, you're not photogenic because every time you took a picture,
I looked different person. Yeah, they didn't know. They were looking at like all the pictures they took, and they're just like, "Is this the same girl? Like, where is she?" So they told me to stick to runway, and my mom helped me out a little bit. I guess she felt bad for me. She was a manager at Dress Bar in the Jersey Garden, so she let me do some mannequin modeling, stand at the window and just pose.
So you had to actually okay. So you said mannequin modeling, like you actually stand at the store.
In the same position for like an hour.
I thought you just take a picture and they put you in the
No, I was standing there like a statue.
Hour?
For like an hour, and then
like one of the mines, like one of them was in
the mime. Yeah.
People just stand there.
Yeah, and people would walk by and they're looking like, is she real? And then I would break pose and then like do a runway thing around the store, and then change into something and go back in the window.
Was any part of that fun?
It was fun for me because, like I said, I grew up in a very restricted household. So for me, anything different is exciting.
I could be better than that. That sounds weird.
It was weird, it was pretty weird. But for me, I'm like, well, I'm still modeling, so
glass half full type
thing. Right,
yeah. So you did the mod thing. Also, you said you do some promotion, like event promotion, booking entertainers. Or what clubs did you work at?
I worked at Club Envy for New York Giants player Joe Montgomery. He's a former player. He was starting Monday nights at Club Envy, so I was doing booking a lot of the talent. Calling the record companies, making deals. I didn't know what I was doing.
You just calling people like,
I'm like, hi, Major Talent. They know who I am, and it worked. I got like Foxy Brown and a lot of different.
So did they help that? So you was calling on behalf of Club Envy, or just because you was calling just because?
I'm calling on behalf of Club Envy. We're doing Monday nights. We like your celebrity to appear and host, and usually when celebrities come, it draws in everybody else, the crowd. So, and then we had like Funk Flex with the DJ Ramo. So we had some people that were notable to push. Like, okay, they should come because we got Funk Flex.
Yeah.
Because we have the New York Giants coming.
Right. Yeah. So the people want to see the celebrities, see them professional players, and all that type of stuff, and come out and party with them. Right. Especially on Monday. Well, New York party every night of the week.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so Monday
that's the city never sleeps. So it doesn't matter what night of the week it is.
Right.
You want to get a crowd in your club, as long as you got the right promotion.
Right.
You know right. I mean? So you do the modeling promotion, and so that's when the time you met your husband around that. Like
I met him that summer. Yeah.
So you're still young then at the time.
Yeah, I met him that summer, and we moved in together in New York and Little Italy, which is really I love Little Italy. It's different now. It's called like Nolita or something.
Oh,
but back then, yeah, they have the San Gennaro's feast. I'll promote San Gennaro's feast right now. It's this week, so people that don't know Little Italy should go out. They have good fried Oreos. It's really good. But yeah, that area was highly Dominican and Italian and very close. So it was a really nice community. But then 9/11 happened, and
right,
so
when that happened, and you about to get married and all that stuff, and you started going back to school and everything, or going to school.
Right. When we were engaged, I was going to school at Essex County College because 9/11 happened. Like that summer was so fast. It was like modeling, club promotions, and then 9/11.
So all this happened in one summer from when you moving back from Arizona.
Right. Yeah. It was just like boom, boom, boom. You know. And then 9/11 happened. So and I had just moved over there like 2 weeks before 9/11 happened. I was commuting from Jersey. I was staying at my cousin's house and commuting back and forth. And then I was like, well, this is something that's gonna happen. You know, like I'm building this little career, so let me move in with him.
Right.
But then 9/11 happened, so then that got shut down, and ended up doing the move back to Jersey.
Right.
And going to Essex County College, and just trying to go to school there. But then my marriage ended.
Unfortunately, you said you didn't get left at the altar, but he left. Y'all left after not too long after your marriage.
That same night, yeah. So we were together for 2 years and engaged. And
so he wasn't.
But that night
he wasn't ready, but he proposed to you.
Yeah, years later, he told me that he knew I was marriage material, but he wasn't ready. He just kind of.
He was young too. It must be.
Yeah, he was young too. So he just wanted to lock me in there, like. There's my wife.
That was real selfish of him.
She's got potential. He knew that. So
that was real selfish of him.
Yeah, but now I look back and I wouldn't be. I wouldn't have been as hungry.
The situations you went through.
Yeah.
I mean, cause he was. I know we was talking also about. I know we're jumping all over the place, but the situation.
I got a lot going on.
Situation and you living in Newark at one point in time before you moved to Piscataway, where you are now.
Right.
You and your sons, and there was an issue with the land there.
Right.
And that's the big reason why. Now, was that a big part of the reason why you started getting into a lot of volunteering and being about the earth and everything because of that situation, or was it a lot of stuff happened before that, as far as the volunteering and everything happened before that?
I was doing a little bit, like I said, even with the volunteering, even as before I started working at Rutgers North, because I was working at the Attorney General's office as in consumer affairs. So that was also like pushing me towards helping people because in consumer affairs, there's something called the Consumer Fraud Act.
Right.
And so
that's for the companies or
false advertising, things like that. So
this is real shit.
So you can go on the New Jersey Consumer Affairs website and you can file a complaint and they do arbitration. It's completely free.
Right.
And I got put into I asked my boss, I was doing like data entry, and I asked my boss, could I one of my coworkers was leaving, so I asked my boss, could I take over her position instead of her hiring someone else? So I got involved with consumer restitution, which is like making sure that people got their restitution checks back once their cases were settled.
Okay.
And that just really, I think, also like it just like little things. It wasn't like one big launch into volunteering. It was like, okay, I like how it feels to give back to people. I'm giving them money. So like other people, that were doing the call center, they're, getting the angry complaints. This person ripped me off, but I'm always like, hi, this is Adrea. I have your $5,000 check. Where do you want me to send it?
They always have to hear from you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one flip side of the coin, the call center, the customer service part, anyway.
Right. So they're just also. I was like, well, I need to do more to help people. So if I saw something on like Facebook, an event, or someone told me something was going on downtown, I was just like, I'll be there.
Yeah. So, like I said, now, because now you do a lot of volunteering.
Right.
You have 4 kids, full-time job, and you're going to school.
Full-time school too.
Full-time. How you managing all this stuff?
Google Calendar is my best friend. I wish I could put some stocks into Google Calendar. You don't want to see my calendar. I have things broken down like by category, color coded, by time, like alarms, the whole
now.
Yeah, Google Calendar really, and then I fall short sometimes because life happens so quickly.
You can't do everything.
Yeah, but for the most part, Google Calendar helps me like balance everything and schedule everything. But every now and again, I have to tell myself like, put in some me time.
Oh yes, family time with the boys.
Family time with the boys, and also like sometimes
personal time for you, just that Calgon moments.
I'm doing too much. I run away to the spa in Edison, and I lock myself in there for 12 hours. Just to like.
It's the woosah.
Yeah, woosah. And put a lot of that energy I'm putting out, like to put it back inside of me, because
you got to regenerate yourself.
Yeah,
you burn yourself out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
And I've learned that the hard way. I've learned like sometimes
mental breakdown.
Mental breakdowns. Depression. Anxiety, because I think I mentioned before I'm what they call an empath.
Right.
So I absorb a lot of things I'm doing. If I'm volunteering at a domestic violence shelter, when those people telling me their stories, I'm like feeling that.
Yeah.
I take it home with me.
Personal type thing.
Yeah. If I'm cleaning up, a park and it's dirty, I feel like what's wrong with people. Like I feel a lot. So I have to like remember like, because I've been at those points where I'm just overwhelmed, and I'm like, but I keep putting out. Where I'm like, okay, I'll take that and I'll do that, and no, I don't have much more to give. But it also has helped with a lot of my friends who have always like supported me or tell me real talk. I keep my real talk friends around, not the ones that are going like,
oh, you can't keep doing it.
Yeah, no.
You just sit your ass down so
it's just like that. I love that. I'm like, tell me again, So
not only this, it can be mental breakdowns, but so it's a physical breakdown as well.
Physical too, yeah. Not eating, just not sleeping. So now,
especially not sleeping, sleep deprivation is a serious thing.
Yeah, and it catches up to you quickly. Where you don't even realize, you're like, why am I up at 3:00 in the morning? Or you're sleeping, and for me, my mind's always going. Like, I got to do this tomorrow. Even
I'm like that too, because besides, like I said, I do the podcast, I do shows. Matter of fact, somebody hit me up 12 o'clock last night. The artist hit me up I'm looking for a manager. I'm like, all right, they're going to my questionnaire list, like, well, how long you doing this? You know what I'm saying? What you know what I mean? So it just constantly, I understand the feeling, relate to the feeling as far as not sleeping. Because when I go to bed, I'm thinking about something. When I wake up, I'm thinking about something. Like, it's constantly moving. So.
And that's why the calendar really has helped me, because now I just I wrote it down. Don't think about it.
Write it down.
You're gonna get a reminder an hour before or 2 days before, depending on the priority. So just let it go.
Yeah.
Because if not, but I still do it too. I can't lie. It helps though a little bit.
I mean, it's hard to let go. Something like that, especially you start programming yourself to do certain things.
Right.
I mean, at the while, it's become a force of habit.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so but you gotta take time out for yourself.
You have to.
Vacation or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like to run away to Cape Cod.
Okay.
Or Newport, Rhode Island. To New England.
Somewhere just to get away.
There's no one around. I don't mind being around a lot of people and helping people.
But you volunteer all the time. Sometimes you
go into seclusion.
Which
My
is dope.
family's like, where is she? She's at
Phones off, all that.
everything's
You know what
out. Yeah, everything's out. I'm just absorbing like all the energy from the earth. Like that's why I love the beach. Like people are like, how do you sit on the beach? It's boring. I go deeper than just sitting on the beach.
I mean?
Like I really feel like the wind and the smells and the sounds, and I just feel like I told you, I'm like
No, no,
weird.
no, you
Like
ain't really good.
you
I
know.
mean, people seem to realize, like we are a part of this planet as well.
That's what I believe.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean, so we come from this planet. So then, like, eventually we're gonna return back to this planet.
Right. Yes, that's
So,
my indigenous belief as well.
So how do you? There's two questions I wanted to ask real quick about the forest fires.
Mhm.
The one thing to forest fires, yeah, forest fires in South America
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
Like they talked, like, the one in South America was on the news a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, about how a large percent, like acres and acres and acres of that
Amazon.
Amazon forest was
Yeah.
being burnt down, and nobody was doing nothing about it. And also, the one in Africa, the same thing's going on in Africa, but they don't talk
Mhm.
about it as much. You know what I mean? Anything saying will say is a reason why, but they just don't speak about it that much.
Right.
About the ones that's going on in Africa. How do you feel about those things right now? Like what can, as you've been an ambassador of human rights peace, like what can you do? What do you feel like you can do to help with these situations?
I think just always communicating with people, always talking like how you have this information, you know it. You're sharing some things with me. You're sharing things with the people that follow you. Just always like getting the word out there so people are more aware. And then people are always like, what do you do with this awareness? Talking about it is not going to solve the problem.
No actions is another thing.
And so for me, I'm always like, your strongest thing is your voice, and also with voting. So when it comes to, I know a lot of people are like, well, voting, like that doesn't do anything, but it is you sharing your voice and also shaping legislation. So if there is someone, that is, promoting deforestation, or don't vote for them.
Right.
Make sure that, and if you don't see anybody that you want to vote for, become that person if you're that motivated, or if you know other people in your community, promote them to, share that. Yeah, because I think a lot of things that are happening right now, there's people are saying, well, there's the law, it's the law, this is why this is happening because it's the law. But there's also a lot of loopholes, so we need to fill those loopholes
Right.
in.
Yeah.
So right now, I think, and I'm not sure, but I know in South America, there the there's some type of like legal like ally with Bolsonaro, with their president, and with the cattlemen, and with these big large corporations.
Right, and they don't want to accept certain help because they don't want the obligations stuck on them for people coming in, outside people coming in helping them with something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the indigenous people there, the Amazonians, they have land rights, they have sovereignty over their land.
Right.
But whatever treaty that they have, there has to be some type of loophole in there where these cattlemen or these big corporations, they've been fighting them in court to take over some of their land. So what they did was say, okay, since they lost in court, we're going to burn them down, burn them out.
Yeah.
And so that's one way how I guess, the court system and like people's rights, there's and really the president should be backing up his court system, but
at the same time,
it's not happening. So
not only that, but yeah, you're right, because if they won in court,
they did.
You know what I'm saying, so much that they had everybody come in and try to burn them out,
right?
Try to get them removed from their land because big corporation is big corporation.
Right. So that's why I feel like now that's when the people have to stand up.
Right.
The people have to say, because usually it's like, oh, well, the law says, well, they won their legal battle.
Exactly.
So now that the battle is won with the legal part, now the people have to speak up and back up that law.
So you think the president should step in and actually do something about these corporations and like
I think it's the people. I'm always for the people. I think grassroots. I think people organizing. The people are always the ones who are affected the most.
Right. So those should be the ones that make the difference then.
Yeah. I mean, if it's, people flying down there, or if it's people saying, I'm not going to support whatever big company that's assisting in this here in America.
Right.
If we could find out what company is helping these cattle ranchers do that, divest from them, because they're only going to stop if they're not making money.
Right, they're making money. As long as they're making money, they don't care.
Yeah,
it's big business.
Yeah.
So as long as they're making that money, they will just do whatever. Like, which is capitalism is the most corrupt thing on the planet right now. Right. Everything is done but business.
Right.
I mean, so like I said, the same thing is currently going on in Africa. A lot of people ain't talking about it. Reason being, I don't know. Actually, I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
On a African news channel, a news channel, and it was reporting like, they was like, same thing going on in South America is going on in Africa.
Right.
We're just not talking about it.
Which is really scary because I watch a lot of documentaries, and there's a Netflix documentary called One Strange Planet.
Right.
And in it talks about how how Africa is linked to the Amazon.
Right.
So, there's an episode of like they're talking about the salt that we eat, how it's, created over in Africa. And then those dust storms push out, these minerals and nutrients and everything
across the oceans,
across the Atlantic to the Amazon, and that's what fertilizes the soil for the Amazon. So it just shows you like how everything is so connected.
Mother Nature,
Mother Nature is so connected. So if they're harming the motherland, the place that's fertilizing, that's giving its nutrients to the Amazon, where we get a lot of our oxygen.
25% of the atmosphere oxygen is come from the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, and when it doesn't, and then whatever leaves from there goes to the other rainforests in Puerto Rico, and I think
they call the Amazon the Earth's lungs.
The lungs, yeah.
Earth,
yeah, and then there's other arteries of that, and then even like the microbes and everything that's in the ocean, all that is all connected.
Yeah.
And we're connected to that, so.
Yeah, that's it. Because if it affects nature, it's going to affect us.
Yeah, we're part of nature.
They said they've been talking about global warming and climate change for decades now.
Right.
So they said at this point, if something was done within the next 10 years, we're going to be real bad, drastic issues. You know what I'm saying? Going to start occurring.
Right.
Because you notice that the weather is getting worse. The hurricanes is getting stronger every year.
Right.
Especially in the Midwest, the tornadoes, lightning storms are getting worse. Like you see bigger tornadoes, like affecting. You affect the environment in one way. It's going to either retaliate or try to rebuild itself, like anything else.
Right. Yeah. So, I always give the reference of like of a human or like a human mother. So with when a mother has a child, she gives all her nutrients to that child, and that's what Mother Earth does to us. She gives us fruit and water and everything. But then if the child takes too much, she's depleted, and the only way, and that's what we're doing, we're digging in the ground and pulling out her iron and her diamonds, and those are all her minerals and her nutrients to keep her alive, so she can give to us what we need. And if you take too much, she's going to be sick. And then I feel like with the global warming, it's her having a fever, and with the different storms, it's more of like when you have cold sweats, So I feel like she's breaking down.
Your immune system fighting off the
infection. Trying to fight it off, and the fighting off is us, her own children, So it's like, people will get complacent. They go, oh, well, there's always been storms and stuff. But you know what? There's also been a lot of mass extinctions.
Yeah.
And this one we could prevent if we just stop taking from her.
Floods to all types of other.
And even with the flooding, a lot of flooding happens because people, they cut too many trees.
Right.
The trees are there to suck up the water.
But
if you're just clearing away, like it's all science, it's all common sense in a way.
It all links in together.
Yeah.
I mean, and my other question I wanted to ask you about really was when I see the LGBTQ safety zone training certificates that you have. I think it was a podcast I was watching, or was it the news where they have a it was a it was called a straight community or something like that. They had a march up in Boston,
Okay.
I believe it was. They kept going on like it was a black and white flag. Basically, it was like protesting against you know
Against that
the
community.
LBG.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
And I think the mayor, the governor, the mayor of the city got criticized for letting them do it or something like that. Who was I watching?
I think
Dang.
that everyone
I got to look it up, but
has the right to express themselves.
yeah,
But I have a problem with when you want to express yourself and it's against other people.
right.
It could be against like a cause. It could be against um, I don't know, uh, like affordable. I don't know other
But it makes
causes.
a reason
But
to make sense.
right, yeah. But to me, there's so many
Straight
problems
pride
in
parade. It was a straight pride parade.
there's so many
It was
problems in this
in
world.
Boston. And it was a big issue about that. And
Yeah, I just think that there's so many problems in this world already as far as like us just trying to survive, like trying to get a job, trying to or keep a job, trying to get medical Medicaid or
yeah,
medical insurance,
these
trying to
hospital
get
bills is outrageous. These motherfuckers charge you want a Band-Aid, they want $500 for a Band-Aid.
Right, that's happened to me before with one of my sons taking the emergency room. Band-Aid, $500. But there's just so many like basic human things that we all are linked to.
Yeah.
And why pick on these things that make us different? Like that's wasted energy, because at the end of the day, you're gonna go to that march and you're still gonna go home and not have affordable housing, not have health care, not have, there's so many things that we all are linked to that we're all trying to obtain. So why pick on the small things?
So you would, for something like that, you would be totally against it, basically. Not the fact they want to speak their voice, but just the fact that it's not.
It's not productive to me.
Right? It's
not productive. Yeah. I mean,
you straight. We know you straight. If you don't deal with the other communities, that's fine.
Just don't deal
with them. Yeah.
Don't deal with them.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know. I forgot who was talking about. I don't know if I saw it on the news or a talk show or something, or you can probably on the podcast. I'm watching do my mad stuff on YouTube.
Right.
They mentioned that's like a straight pride parade. Like, who does that? I mean, you straight. That's cool. That's fine. I mean, everybody got their own opinions and the views and everything. But you actually trying to start conflict.
Right. Yeah.
And not that I'm not a racist or nothing like that or prejudice, but it was majority white people and Trump followers that was involved in this parade.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think that. And I mean, I can't speak for like all Trump supporters, but I really wish that they would, not all of them, I don't want to generalize, but the ones who would attend a rally like that, really think about like what's more important.
Yeah.
They obviously voted for him to change certain things that were happening in their life, and I don't think that the gay people marching was one of the things that was really, maybe they were saying coal miners and farmers and, they have all these, issues in their community.
Right.
So it's like, focus on that. Like, go and march for your coal miners. Like,
right.
I supported some Appalachian coal miners. I don't know if you saw that on my LinkedIn a couple months ago, and I know nothing about them, but I said, let me learn about them and let me support them. They want,
especially, I know a lot of these coal miners, especially overseas, they get trapped in these coal mines.
Right. Like I'm not for mining, but I don't live in that area. So maybe that's the only thing that's promoting that community.
Right.
And but their thing was Black Lung. So, they were marching about that. And so I could, health, I'll march with you because it's community health, so like you have to go, like not look at the bigger thing and go down to the root of what, like I said, what we all share, which is all wanting healthcare, all wanting, clean communities, not
clean
chemicals, clean water.
You personally affected by that situation like that. We said in New Jersey, the grounds was contaminated.
Right.
They sold it for cheap. A developer came in there, built townhouses on contaminated land.
Right.
And actually, your sons to this day.
My sons were affected by the
All
lead.
four of them,
and
or
only the older two.
Older two?
Yeah, I only had the older two at the time. So
both was affected.
They have learning disabilities
Mm.
now. One of my sons has like a reading comprehension problem. I mean, you'd see him, you think he's normal. He's a ladies' man. He ain't got a problem with the ladies, But and one of them, he's got ADHD. Yeah, so it's more focus.
Okay.
It's very smart, but it's more of like,
keep him focused, like, yeah.
Well, what I tell you to do?
Yeah, 1 minute, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that was all kids, though.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm always
like, I know with the situation with the water and the land being contaminated, it could have enhanced the problem to where now
it definitely did. We got their blood tested,
yeah,
and they had lead in their system, and it's affected them. So, and that's what I was saying, which scares me as far as being so nonchalant as to think like, oh, it's just lead, or it's just really has been shown that will affect 7 generations from now. So my son's DNA, both of them are now altered. So when they have a kid and they have a kid, they will have certain genetic
effects.
Issues, going forward. So that's why I'm like, well, it's nice that we're getting new pipes in the city, but what are you going to do to support all these kids?
So would there ever a civil lawsuit going up against the city, anything like that, or was it ever talked about? Or
I'm not really sure.
Have you personally spoken to a lawyer about it, anything like that?
No. At that time, I mean, maybe I should now, but at that time, and I moved from Newark, so at that time it was more of like, I need to get my kids out of here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's first and foremost.
And then I just got involved with so much other stuff.
Yeah, the list speaks for itself.
Yeah, but it probably should. I should look back into it.
Just your job alone. I'm looking at your list and your job alone. Other support roles have included background investigation assistant, budget. What's that? Budget, procurement and vendor manager. Department, Notary Public. You Notary Public too?
I'm a notary, yeah.
I need that. Legal counsel, label, and media relations liaison. LGBTQA safe zone certified ally. Desktop publishing, website and social media administration, payroll and benefits coordinator, petty cash custodian, rape, aggression, self-defense training coordinator, Spanish translation, and interpreter. You speak Spanish?
Yes, I do.
Hola, señorita. I only speak a little bit.
Right. That's what Celia Cruz said. My English is not very good looking. So, no, but I speak good Spanish. Yeah. It's funny because my siblings, I'm oldest of 6.
Okay.
They don't. But I think a lot of it, too, is because when I was growing up, a lot of people were pushed to assimilate. Mm. So it was like, no speaking Spanish or whatever native language you have to speak English.
Yeah, people was allowed to be themselves, basically.
Right. Yeah. So and then it was more like that's what you speak at home, but then a lot of the adults had to start learning in order to
communicate with the rest of the world,
right.
community anyway.
Yeah, and now it's promoted in school, so it's kind of like accepted. So, but it's funny because my boys, they understand Spanish, but they don't speak it. They speak Japanese. They watch like anime or something.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Japanese in my house.
Very bicultural in your house, huh?
Yeah, Hungarian. One of my sons speaks Russian. And he can write it too.
He's from school, or is that something he just picked up on his own?
He's actually homeschooled right now this year. He's pretty much certified genius. He was accepted.
What's
my 10-year-old.
10-year-old, okay.
Aiden. Yeah, he's got Instagram. We follow him. He's had it since he was like 5 years old because he's a skateboarder. He started skateboarding at like 2.5 years old.
Okay.
So he skated like for the Nike tent and Street League down in Prudential Center and stuff like that. But yeah, he was accepted to Johns Hopkins University in 2nd grade. But they have a Center for Talented Youth. They take all the smart kids around the world. So he tested into that program. But yeah, Aiden. he's pretty bright, and so I ended up having some problems with the school district because my son's woke, and he's not like celebrating Columbus Day. He's like Columbus was a mass murderer, and different. That's
I need to,
it's
I
true.
need to I like to invite him out because I do the podcast with the kids here in Trenton.
Oh, you
the
do,
program
yeah.
called Kids Speaks, and I definitely like to invite him down for an interview to talk to the kids here as well. I'm saying get opportunity. Mainly do it on Wednesdays. I know how your schedule is.
Yeah,
So,
he's homeschooled, so he probably could get a lift or Uber or something. No, but yeah, we'll work it out.
See, I won't be bringing it, but he beat it.
Right? Yeah. He's really he named one of Jupiter's moons for NASA. He has like 4 businesses at 10 years old.
That's what's up.
So he's really bright, and I'm proud of him.
That's what's up. He knows speak Russian.
He speaks Russian. Yeah. So he's a computer coder. He goes on, like, MIT has this program called Scratch, and he started with that. It's like a coding, and it teaches the kids how. You should probably use that too.
Yeah.
It's free. It's called Scratch by MIT. And I started that with him like when he was 5 years old. And now he's like coding Python and all these more adult languages and things like that. But he created a server on Minecraft. It's the game.
Yeah.
And I guess that's linked now to a lot of people from all over the world. So now he's had friends that are Russian or Hungarian, and they try to speak English, and he tries to learn their language. So it's almost like a cultural exchange that happens. So sometimes, I'm on his laptop, but it's linked to his phone, and it's popping up Russian, and I'm like, the CIA watching this? Like, what's going on? But I'm like, oh, it's for Aiden. Okay, yeah.
That's what's up. I mean,
so yeah,
kind of following your footsteps, staying busy and being creative.
Right, and I promoted. We were talking about promoting like their natural talents.
Right,
exactly.
When you were talking
about your
your
grandchild. And I'm one of those child. I think because I was kind of isolated growing up. To go back to that,
witness thing, cut off from society,
right? Yeah. So now with my kids, I'm more just like, whatever you want to do. You want to play baseball, even if it's for a week, let's do it. If you want to code, school is not for you. Forget it.
So you took him out of this year. So we took him out in the 5th and 6th grade. He would have been in the 5th or 6th.
He would have been in the 5th grade. I took him out about 3 or 4 weeks before school ended last. That's another lawsuit that probably could happen, but yeah. So he was actually a lawyer. I need to get a lawyer. I need a really good lawyer for a lot of different things, but I can kind of stop being so passive. But yeah, he was. The teachers were bullying him.
The teachers. He was probably smarter than they was.
Their emotional intelligence was lower than his IQ.
And this was going to Piscataway school district? Yeah.
And so, he...
And you know what? And the thing about that, especially being a young African-American, other people tend to get intimidated.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Very intimidated. I mean, like he can't be that smart.
Yeah, well, now we tell him stuff like that. Like you're annoying. What you're never going to be anything. Your waste of life. Like they would tell him these things, and
serious.
Yeah, and he got really depressed. He actually tried to take his life. So
So is your other kids currently going to the same school
They're
district?
still in the school, but they're not dealing with the same thing. They're in different schools.
Right.
Like 2 of them are in the high school, and the high school's they've had really great teachers.
Right.
It shows you how much a teacher can really affect your self-esteem and your motivation.
Yes.
So the older 2 and my youngest have been very fortunate to have really good teachers. So I'm not, it's not the school district completely.
It's
that particular school and that administration that he was under there failed to, protect him from a group of teachers, because it was one teacher, but then she got moved to another school, so then it became like the Mean Girls thing of how dare you get my teacher friend.
And then the code of blue thing with the cops.
Yeah,
so
like
if you want one cop, they all
started picking on him, and it really brought down his self-esteem. He's like, Mom, I didn't even know I was depressed. He's like, of course he wouldn't. He's 10 years old. He doesn't know what that is.
Yeah.
But
he was upset, and that's all he did.
And it was really amazing to me because he was in Newark. He had mostly African American teachers, and they promoted him a lot because
Right.
they know the value of having a very smart child.
Yeah, but talented person mentally, like, it's a
Yeah,
gift. Like,
and they always like pushed him, like, okay, yeah, let's
person do more,
do
be
the
extra
next.
work.
So
Yeah,
much so that his kindergarten teacher, Miss Lusa, told him to prepare for his future in 5th grade, and he applied to Princeton and Full Sail University. And the reason why I know because they called me asking for him. He's like, well, she told me to prepare for my future, so he went online. 5 years old, USDegrees.com, and applied for scholarships and things.
Are you
And they
serious?
called me and they're like, "Well," I'm like, "He's 5 years old." And they said, "Well, at least he knows what he wants to do." But those teachers had him so motivated, like, I can do anything.
Right.
He went and he's also a giver like me. Like, he would help the special. He's not like, oh, I'm so smart. He helps the other kids. So he volunteered to help the special needs kids in his class because he would be finished first, and the teachers allowed him to do that too. So it was like they helped him, become more
of his own.
Be confident, but at the same time promoted him helping the other students that needed help.
Don't be asshole with it.
Yeah,
you know you're smart. So
yeah, he doesn't like to say I'm smart,
Yeah.
But in this school district, it wasn't appreciated. So he was like, something is happening wrong. Sarah can't go to the bathroom. One of the girls urinated on herself in class, and he stood up for her. Like, he was the one who stood up for the other kids, and the teacher didn't like that. Go sit down somewhere.
Yeah, mind your business, literally.
Yeah, and that's what really, when he tried to hurt himself, that's what really hurt him, was that he was no longer in that class, because they moved him from that class before they moved the teacher. Eventually, they moved him to another class, and he felt he was getting calls that, from his friends, like, she's doing this to us and she's doing that to us, and he felt powerless.
Yeah.
Like, at least when I was in the classroom, I could stand up to her and tell her, she's wrong. Yeah, and he's very smart. Like, he will give you the legal code.
He's 10 years old.
He's 10, but he's far beyond 10 years old. He's an old soul. Like, he gets political with you. He knows his history.
Now, we definitely got to invite him out to to the podcast with the kids.
Yeah, he's like me, always grabbing for attention. So sometimes I'd be like, Aiden, get off your phone, because being a parent, kids like this.
Yeah. Not
realizing that he's like developing an app for deaf people on his phone. He developed an app for hearing impaired. And he's just always like, well, I saw this article about, deaf people, and I just felt like I need to do something, So
he's currently working on that now.
He did it already. He posted it on, I'm not sure what he called it, but he promoted it on like a hearing impaired Facebook page or something to see if somebody went to buy it. The app basically is that there's like a circle and it changes different colors, and so it's more for them to measure how loudly they're speaking. So if they're speaking too loud, it'll turn a certain color. If they're speaking like right at the right tone, it'll change a certain color. And it also works for safety mechanism too, because he programmed like a siren and different sounds like that we might hear, like their caution, like a police siren. So it turns into another color. So they can hear,
like the siren goes like, okay, I got
they know, okay, danger is around. So it works to also like help them speak.
And this is for the phone.
For the phone, yeah, it's an app.
Okay, so if somebody's speaking too loud to that person, or if they're speaking too loud.
So if they're speaking too loud, so sometimes you can't judge the
volume for the deaf people. Yeah.
He knows all the technical terms.
Okay, no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so he knows how loudly they're. The person might not understand how loudly they're speaking or too low.
Right.
So while they're so if I'm talking to you, I could look at my phone and still see, okay, it's still on green, so I'm at a good level.
Yeah, some people don't understand. Deaf people can still talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? Is that like I said, the being deaf, the volume, and plus the speech ain't as clear as ours are.
Right.
But they still can talk because they're deaf. They're not mute.
Right.
So,
but I'm like, what 10-year-old is doing this? Like, he's like sitting on my desk in my office doing this. And
that's a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. I mean, we need more of that because, we don't get a lot of credit for the things that we do in this society.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we need to constantly push our youth to do
I'm always
do that and to go to another and go beyond. know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
improving our intelligence is way past the level that they think we are.
And create a different narrative, because the narrative out there is, a lot of the stereotypes about us, but and sadly it's what's expected of us. So I felt like with my older two kids, not that they're not smart, but they're just like regular kids, go to school, get grades. And one of my sons was actually failing last year for certain classes, and he had an African American teacher, Mr. Viney. Was he had called me. He said, I think Christian plagiarized, and I explained to him he's got this he's got this learning disability, so I don't think he's aware that he plagiarized. And he took him, when I said about our black teacher stepping up, he took him under his, when he said, what, his English teacher, who just happens to be, Caucasian, didn't ever identify this. All year went by.
They said nothing about it.
Never said nothing. So he said that he would stay after school with him for 30 minutes every day and help him. But what I realized is that she never said anything because it's expected. She expects him to be mediocre, to fail, to be the cornball, goofball that he is. He's class clown that he is. But he actually passed Mr. Viney's class, who was honors world history class,
and failed the English class. Because she wasn't not doing the
she
work.
Just expected. Well, he's just another
from the hood or whatever.
Yeah,
especially you move to a township like Piscataway, which is, I ain't gonna say it's a township, but it is.
There's certain elements.
Yeah, coming from a city like Newark,
right?
They look at you a different way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because when I go to different places, and they're like, "You from Trenton?" Like, yeah,
yeah.
You no, they look like you from Trenton. Like,
you survived.
Everybody's not crazy in Trenton. Like, shoot each other.
Right.
You got certain people that's out there doing certain things, of course, but no, like I'm from Trenton. I'm all right.
Yeah, don't judge from
exactly.
There's certain population of people.
So I understand why, they put that one of those labels on them, besides the flag. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Skin color alone. You know what I'm saying? They statistics. Their statistics. So by the time an African American male is in the 5th grade, they can determine whether he's going to college or jail.
Right.
By the time he's 5 years old,
right.
They can determine whether he's going to college or jail by the time he's 5 years, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
If you're not giving this kid no opportunity to prove himself or help or change them to be something better than so you expect him to be.
And that's why I think that mentality of expecting an African American child to be mediocre harms them. Yeah. Because, if you look at a child and you say, well, at least he wrote his name. Like,
exactly.
Then, if that's good enough, okay, yeah, good job. Instead of like, if it was another type of child, Asian or whatever, you're going to be like, you can do more than that.
Yeah, math.
Yeah, you can do more than, so it's pushed, it's motivated.
When they come out, I ain't say they come out, but they got to learn at least 2 to 3 different languages.
Right.
By the time they're a certain age anyway.
Right.
Because of course, English being the dominant speaker and the spoken language in this planet, then they got Latin, Spanish or whatever. Then Chinese or Mandarin.
Right.
So they go to school, they learn at least 3 languages before they even get to high school or whatever.
Right.
So when they look at them, they already expect them to be at a higher level than other people, different cultures and races and stuff like that.
But then when they see my child, Aiden come in, it's like the wild card.
Going to jail.
That's like the what?
He's gonna have a juvenile record before he's 12 years old.
Right. So, and they don't know. This kid's got, like, his honors teacher told him, you don't belong in my class. Because he had like put the wrong word in a sentence or something. This is the same kid who got 5 questions wrong on the state test, on the park test. Like,
this is a 10-year-old.
My 10-year-old. She told him he didn't belong in her class. But it's like, and I told her, you're right, he doesn't belong here.
Yeah, no,
he's above you. But it's because that they expect him to be mediocre. So it's almost like a threat or an uncomfortable situation of why isn't he conforming to everyone else? But Aiden drew a picture of that school to prison pipeline in school, and he's very aware of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like he said, Mom, they just make workers. They're not training leaders or entrepreneurs.
Not.
It's to go into either a work field in jail or a work field in a corporation.
That's it.
But I'm not that, and I'm not going to let them.
Well, he would love he would actually love our new high school. Trenton High just got a new high school that's opened up this year, and it's really, really, really amazing. I went to Trenton High when I was younger, and the level of the school is now is built to help build entrepreneurs, business owners.
Yes.
And I mean, if they choose to go on to another level of higher learning,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, but he's only 10 years old, so he ain't in high school yet.
He wants to take the test, so he might be this year or next year.
That's what's up, because like I say, the school just opened up this year, brand new everything, gym, state of the art everything. So they got a STEM civic department, like the school is like it's a mini college.
Right.
You got different departments for when I say my son's on Cook campus, you already know he's going for science. And
right.
Same thing with the high school. They
specialized.
Exactly. So we got the STEM civic department here. They got the cosmetology department here. They got the automotive department here. And actually, before, I'm not sure how your school high school was, but when you take your classes, it used to be all over the building.
Right.
Not the way it's set up now is not. You stay in that department.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Not saying it's
that's very progressive. I think that's the way it should be. With they pulled a lot of the technical schools. I went to a technical school part-time, doing too much in high school. I was like the cashier during lunch, and then I was a teacher's assistant, and I was a drama teacher's assistant, and then I would go part day. I don't know how I got anything done, but part day to a technical school. I went for graphic design that's on there, the desktop publishing, that. And I think that those, when we promote college, it's for certain people.
Right. Yeah,
I think that to bring back, and at one point they had a lot of, especially in North, they had like Bloomfield Tech, they had a lot of, technical schools. Those skills also are needed in society. Like everybody can't be a doctor.
Yeah.
Everybody can't be a lawyer. And that's what happened at a certain point. Those fields are now flooded and people can't get jobs. But when we need a plumber or something, anybody know anybody?
Exactly.
I go to the corner and Broad Market and ask one of the crackheads.
Yo, you know plumber right here?
I do. I actually did when I was in Newark because they're
the
ones who hustle and try to make money on the side and for whatever that's their business, but they have skills. These are the ones that have the skills,
specialized skills, exactly.
These skills, and they probably went to
the
school.
Corner. Yo, I need a plumber. Anybody?
And they're reliable sometimes, but
you the cracker, you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
You might get you got to get a bad day.
Right. So I'm like, when you're good, come see me. Everybody needs work, and I need someone in my house. But it's like those fields were left, and a lot of those people were probably the ones who were in those fields, but couldn't get work because they expected everybody to go to college, and now they couldn't get a job and probably went through depression or whatever happened in their life that put them where they are now. And I know about, like I had mentioned briefly too, I was homeless at a certain point, so I know what that is to like be put into a stereotype of like homelessness or I've never been a drug addict, but drug addict, and to need that opportunity to like just get some money, get help, and then you find your way out of it.
Exactly. You need somebody to get that helping hand, get that extra push or whatever. Yeah. I mean, this situation, the story relates a lot to somebody, persons in my life. You know what I'm saying? So I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, but we have to go back to what we were saying earlier. We have to encourage our kids to do more than what's expected of them, all the way around, because you never know what could happen. That's
why I think it's important that they have this school or to have specialized classes for certain things, because that gives them power.
Right.
So even if you can't get a job as a cosmetologist, you can work from home. You could network from home. If you can't get a job, but if you're a doctor, you can
open your own practice, but you still got a lot of insurance.
There's a lot, there's a lot more going on with that. But I feel like I love that that's giving power to them.
Yeah, the brand new school. Like
they can take that anywhere.
Fitness trainer program over there now. Like I tell everybody, I'm jealous as hell.
Yeah, and that benefits the community right away because they can open up businesses right there in Trenton.
Exactly.
You know,
either while in school or coming straight out of high school, open up your own business,
open up your own business, and keep money in the community.
Right, employing other people. Exactly. I mean, so praise to the Trenton Board of Education.
Look into now. You give me something else to go with.
I'm gonna send you a link to the YouTube link on there. You can see the
talk to the kids.
See the school like there's a YouTube. It's doing a little video. Oh man, I was like
promote the school. Yeah, that's great. I like to promote stuff like that.
Actually, the new school is right down the street from here.
Okay.
Like literally 2 blocks away.
Nice.
I mean, so
I have to go see that.
I mean, we covered a lot of stuff there. We talked about a lot. I mean, like I said, I was so intrigued by what I saw. You know what I'm saying here on your LinkedIn page, and I just wanted to know more about what you're doing and how you managing all this stuff, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Currently, you are volunteering for the Global Ambassador for Human Rights and Peace. This is an international human rights organization, and also the Global Goodwill Ambassador in the U.S. as well. So those are the main 2 organizations that you volunteer for, or you just yeah, like that.
So with those, they're more of a title. My volunteering is like my for the most part myself, and then also with the Rutgers Police Department.
Right.
So at one point, like I said, I was doing a little bit of volunteering on campus. There was other people in the department that were doing their own volunteer work, and they kind of made us a unit.
Okay.
So we're a community engagement unit or community affairs, and which didn't exist before. And maybe if we weren't doing this work, it wouldn't have, happened. Yeah. And now it's becoming a thing too, like this community affairs bureaus within other departments around the country, actually. So so now like we just did a backpack drive for a school in North, I think it's Camden Street School and Alma Flag. We do speaking at domestic violence shelter. It was one of my former contacts before the unit was made.
Right.
So we still support them. It's called Ladies Rest. A homeless shelter for it's not really a shelter, it's basically a place that people can go to.
So you help put together a lot of these events and stuff like that?
So we get together as a team and we organize what we're going to do next. We made like 2,500 box lunches for kids who folk like mainly get their food at school.
Yeah.
And they might not have anything on the weekend, so we like decorate these shoe boxes really nice and put encouraging letters in there and put food, like 3 meals in there to them. We partnered with HelloFresh this last time with that, but we've been doing it for a couple of years. So just a lot of stuff I'm doing at work daily,
right.
And then on the side I might do like a 5K to support. Or I just did like a it's called Hands Across the Sand with Sierra Club and Surfrider Foundation. We clean the beach down in Bradley Beach. I do a lot of beach cleanups. There's a lot of plastic on the beach.
Yeah, a lot of plastic,
a lot of animals choking from it. And I just feel like all these things that I'm doing are all connected. You know, when you put that positive energy out there, like me speaking at the domestic violence shelter, I had like the nuns that were there crying because I told them like my story, about being homeless and a lot of different things I went through. I went down to welfare and like grabbed the lady because she's like, I can't help you.
You tried to string the lady. No, that's a federal offense. That's the.
I grabbed her hands. I was crying. I'm like, you have to help me.
Yeah.
No, I just begged. I like fell to my knees because she's like, I can't help you, because they're like used to certain people coming in and using the system.
Right.
And I'm just like, listen, I was married. I was in school. I did the right thing, and stuff happened to me, and I just need like a help, and you'll never see me again. And I'm like crying, snot and tears on the floor. She's like, okay, get off the floor. She's like, all right, we'll help you with temporary rent assistance. And she like opened the floodgates for me. She's like, yeah, we'll give you a voucher for this. And all you have to do is do this.
If you wouldn't do all that, she wouldn't have helped you?
I don't think she was like, nope, you need to stay in a homeless shelter. You need to do this. And I'm like, I just have a newborn. Like, I can't do that.
Oh,
I was like, I'm not your stereotypical person that's just trying to get something and, abuse the system. I was like, if you give me this, I promise you'll never see me again. And she gave it to me, and I never went down there again either because I started working at the Attorney General's office and just
Moving
kind
on
of
from there,
moved on from there. But
that's amazing. That's what's up.
That's what I was saying as far as like it's okay to help people, but I always try to like get people to find them like their inner
you gotta find
energy.
You gotta want it
because you have to want it. Like I can give you free food, but what are you going to do with that? Are you going to use that to eat, get your energy up to go fulfill your dreams? Like you have to take take your ownership.
Like some of the things that you do for the volunteering and putting together different events, do you travel from city to city, or you just keep it focused on where you the Newark area? Or
for right now, for work, it's Newark. The ambassadorship, I just got this in May.
Right, I see that too. Yeah,
I guess
May of this year. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess they saw the work I was doing in Newark at work, and then also my other stuff that I do on the side, and just me to talking to people. I don't know if you ever seen my interactions with a lot of people.
I've watched a couple things on there. I'm like,
people post or they'll like tag me to give my opinion, and they're usually like I try to encourage people. Like I even had like a Nazi guy that now is like my best friend.
For real?
Yeah, like
you know you're black.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, I actually got tagged by one of my followers who saw that I was also linked to him, and I guess I have no idea. I probably like just said like hi, how like my whole little opening thing that I do, but never really had a conversation with him. I never looked at his page, and I guess they were somehow linked on a post and going back and forth about race and homophobia things and stuff. And I was just like, I love both of you guys, like as human beings. I and at the end, I think I felt that a lot of people have a lot of anger or a lot of misunderstanding, and they just want to be heard. And so sometimes they like this guy was like trolling, so he's like saying a whole bunch of stuff to get my other follower like upset because they're on two different planes. And at the end, I'm just like, and now I'm thrown in the middle of this conversation. So I'm just like, listen, you both have a voice, and I just think he just wants to be heard. So I also told the one guy, like, if you don't agree with it, like we were saying before about the going to the straight parade thing, or whatever. If you don't agree with it, just back up. Like you don't have to. And he's like, but I need to fight for justice and get these Nazis out of here. And I'm just, but there's a way to do it. Like you coming at aggression with aggression is not going to solve anything.
That's metal, rubbing on metal.
Yeah, and I think that he respected that I didn't, because he's like, no, he's a racist. And he's like, he's a racist. And I was just like, I don't know what either one of you guys are, but I love you both. I wish you have a great day, and I hope your family's well. And he was just like taken back, like, wow, why are you so nice? And now every day he's just always like messaging me like, good morning, how are you? You're the best person I've ever met.
And this is the Nazi guy.
The Nazi guy.
That's what's up.
And
that's what's up. You can't argue with that.
And so my friend goes to me, he goes, you are the cure for racism.
That's a beautiful thing though, for real.
Yeah, well, because I read for college, we had to read Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow.
Yeah. And
she explains how, the whole racial thing is an illusion. It was put on to us by the planter, like the higher elites at that time, because at one point we were united. There was something called Beacon's Rebellion, where there was, before the slaves got here, there were free blacks here, like we talked about before. There was natives here, and they were all working like in servitude or like indentured servants. They were all poor. And, they got tired of the rich, like how people get out now, taking advantage of them. And they banded together and they fought against the rich class. And that rich class got scared. Like, okay. Because before that, it was always about class. It was either you're in the lower class, the peasants, the lords.
Exactly.
It's always, and it still is about class. But they had to change that illusion for us. So, they were like, okay, well, let's get the poor whites and give them, that's where the Homestead Act came in, and let's give them land and say, if you go against them, then, we're for you, and we're,
we'll give you some land.
Because they needed more people. They were the 1%. They were the minority. So they're like, if these people get too powerful, they're going to kick us out.
Right.
So they had to make sure they're divided by an illusion of, well, like your skin color is,
superior over there.
Superior over there is. and it was only because they saw the people unite, and that's what feared them.
Yeah.
So now that I understand that, it's a lot easier not to look at like this issue of him saying you're racist. That's mediocre. That's not. It's an illusion. What we need to do is unite on one issue, and that's that we're all humans and we all have, you want to be heard and you want to be heard. So, okay, let me hear what you got to
And
say.
figure out a way to resolve the differences, not to resolve the issues.
Right,
so,
and
there's nothing going to get done with the constant bickering and beefing and going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm like a solutionist. I'm always just like, what's the root problem? Because I think because I'm a mom, I got 4 kids, so it's always like, well, he hit me, well, he did this, well, he did that, and it's just like, yeah, but what started this?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I know all the things that happened from it, but what is the root? Well, I'm just tired and I didn't sleep last. Okay, that's the problem.
So that's the problem. Now that's
you're projecting all this other stuff,
right.
But that's the problem, Or I should have told him. That's what the problem is. Like, find out what is the problem. All this other stuff is not important.
Oh man, no, it's been here for a minute. And
yeah, keep talking. You're gonna cut me off.
Yeah, no, we good. This conversation we can go on for a while, but unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end.
Right.
Real quick before we go though, people that want to reach out to you about doing anything for communities, volunteering or anything like that, or how they can help you, help other people, let them know where they can find you at. You have any contact numbers, emails, and all that stuff, let them know. So how to reach out to you and also find out how they can become a global ambassador as well.
Right. Well, a lot of people do ask me that. I'll keep that short. So the global ambassador title is an appointment. It's not something you can apply for.
Right.
So
it's appointed to you, basically.
It's appointed to you. So I mean, you can always reach out to like his name is Richard DiPilla, D-I-P-I-L-A.
He's the president, the founder.
He's the founder of it.
I found out this morning too.
Yeah. I know. I was appointed by another ambassador who saw my work, but if you feel that that's something that you want to do, I mean, you basically have to already be doing volunteer work.
Right, yeah,
it's not like you're going to get this title and then start doing stuff.
Right.
You have to be involved. So you have to show that you've done 2-3 years worth of work that has, built up your community or people that you've, the people that you've impacted. Basically like in a volunteer resume or something. And you also have to be nominated by another ambassador.
Right.
So, I don't know what the trick is to get it because I just got offered it.
And then even nominated you and offered it.
Right,
so.
But I just would say
just
do volunteer work in the community. There's moms who do it every day, and don't have a title. I think it's more important to not have a title,
right.
Because
the work speaks for itself regardless. But it's about putting in, doing the work.
Right, I mean, you have that title, regardless of it's known out on LinkedIn or not. How many mothers take in their kids,
friends and all
friends
that.
and feed them every night, and that is volunteer work. That is
giving back.
Giving back.
It's part of that village,
building that village. Yeah. So I'm always like, don't wait for your public officials or people with titles to do stuff. You do it in your community. Like, I know that there's mothers who do like a clothing exchange. I do it with my kids. That's also giving back to another mother who needs it. If you got extra stuff, hand it over.
Yeah, I always myself. I always donate like clothes. Like, go through my stuff, and I know like clothes I had for years I ain't wearing, and it's still good condition because I pack my stuff away. You know what I mean?
Right.
I did that just like a few months ago.
Just pay it forward. I think it always like I'm the person that puts extra money in the meter. Stuff like that. Not every time. But. Just putting that positive, energy out there. I feel like that's what makes the world spin. That's what keeps people are like, well, it's so bad out there. But to me, I feel like there's way more important, positive people out there that are keeping all these negative people down. Because if not, we would have been obliterated, But, as far as that, they can, I just encourage the common person to just do work in your own community, in your own family, teaching your kids, supporting your local libraries.
Yeah. Stuff. Like the program we hear today.
In
this building is Briggs Library. Is the name of the library, but it's ran. It was a program that's ran by Ms. Howard. It's called Howard Healthy Choices community cultural center, and it's geared. There's a back to school program, also the an after school program, and also summer camp.
Yeah,
in summertime, and she
just
does great
connecting
work
with those
for it.
programs, promoting, because if you don't support these programs, they're going to go away.
Right. Right.
So you have to, even if you can't afford everything, there's certain things that you might have to sacrifice, that $50 membership or whatever it is to, or whatever it is to become I think it's free for a library, but
for a library it's free.
Yeah, but if there's like something going on in town, and you like what they're doing, like promote
you always
it.
can donate. You always can donate to libraries.
Donate your old books, whatever it is to support your libraries. For me, my next step is more, since I now have these titles. Right now, I've been trying to learn what other ambassadors are doing,
right.
And just seeing if I could support them, because I don't want to just go fly to Africa tomorrow and, I don't know anything about the people, the culture. Like, I want to respect
it's the
whatever
whole situation and everything.
Yeah, so I'm learning more. I talked to the ambassador of Zimbabwe and ambassador of all the, other countries, and I'm just trying to learning what they're doing and building relationships first, because I feel like, how we're talking and networking, like
exactly.
People are going to be more willing to support me when I do say, okay, I'm doing this big thing.
Exactly.
Because they're gonna be like, oh, I know Adrea. Yeah, she's had my back for this. She's gave me good advice. She said good morning to me, made me feel good today. Like, it's the small stuff too. Like, some people, when I write to them, they're like, wow, you actually are like nice. Like, it's not, you're not trying to sell anything. I'm like, I'm trying to sell happiness. Positivity. So yeah, that's so once I get something with the ambassadorship, I will post it on LinkedIn. You can follow me, Adrea Tejada, Adrea Tejada.
Adrea Tejada.
Tejada. Yeah.
The J is silent.
The J is an H.
H.
In Spanish.
Okay.
So
I
yeah.
knew that. Yeah. Emails, contact.
Email, it's just my first name at Rutgers.edu. I didn't specialize anything yet.
Okay.
I haven't gotten around to it, but it's just my work, or actually that's my student account. So,
okay.
But I've been trying to focus on that. I prefer email because LinkedIn, like, the way the messages come through, they get jumbled up, and
sometimes you get them right away either. Yeah.
Or somebody writes you, and then you get 50 other messages. It gets lost in there, and then the only way you can find is they write you again. So if you want to volunteer, I could always, you can always reach out to me at adrea@rutgers.edu. Or you just need advice, or you just need somebody nice to talk to. That's what half of the day I spend, like, responding back to messages, just saying, like, how are you doing today? And finding out, like, CEOs of companies, like, it must be very lonely. Because
he's lonely at the top. That's what they say. He's lonely at the top.
Because they're just always like, yeah, and my mom died, and my cat died, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Because they can't say these in these corporate meetings.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, they got to cutthroat people.
To them.
Saying? Yeah. They got to go in there like, I want this and want that. And
I noticed
real business minded. They can't show the human side of them.
Right, and that's why I try to, like, connect. This is gonna be cheesy, but, like, the human and humanity as a humanitarian,
makes sense.
The human aspect of it.
Yeah. That's good. Well, once again, I want to thank you for coming out here.
Thank you for inviting me
on a Sunday.
My first podcast.
Oh, for?
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, hopefully, many more to come.
Yeah.
Because people want to see this story, hear your story. You know what I'm saying?
If they have more questions, they can always.
There's a lot of stuff on here I didn't cover, so y'all want to ask some more.
You might want to go on, part 2 or something.
Definitely, because we talked about a lot of stuff, but we didn't cover a lot of stuff at the same time.
Yeah, I have a lot going on.
So Tejada. Okay, see, I'm talking about him. Sorry. Find her on LinkedIn. Adrian at
Adrea
at Rutgers. This is his first name, right? At Rutgers.
For my email, it's Adrea at Rutgers.edu. And then for LinkedIn, it's just Adrea, Adrea, and then my last name, Tejada, Tejada.
It's spelled easily, Tejada, but the pronunciation, y'all.
Yeah. It's like the whole Spanish rolling up the tongue type thing.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I only took one Spanish one. I didn't do the other class.
Like I told you, my boys are in a Spanish house and they speak Russian. So it's not easy for a lot of people.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We definitely gotta have you back again soon. You know what I mean,
Definitely, yeah.
enjoyed your time today. Appreciate it coming out here. I'm a football fan, big football fan.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if
still.
you are. So it is about 1:30. So game
But
time
it's time
kicked
to
off
go.
about a half hour ago. So
Yeah.
but definitely like I said, enjoyed your time. Appreciate you coming out here.
Thank you.
Yo, it's your boy Just Show. Any shout outs, any special hello to anybody before we get up out of here?
Like a shout out to my boys, Gabriel, Christian, Aiden, and Ryan. And I think just everyone who supported me. I didn't like ask for it, but I'm very thankful for it.
That's what's up.
And I just try to make a human impact with people. So I'm very thankful that even like that you have me here right now. So obviously I made a good impact.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Like, that's why I'm like intrinsically motivated. So like for me to be to connect with someone and they give back positive, like that's my reward.
That's what's up. And like you said, it's all about networking.
Yeah. Talking to people.
People, getting to know people, you know what I'm saying?
And more on just high and by. Like,
exactly. Let yourself get known. Let yourself get known. I mean, because people buy themselves up, getting little closets.
And that's not healthy. And that was Suicide Awareness Month right now. Like,
I seen it on your, listening to you. Volunteer for that as well.
Yeah. Like, I'm all about, things like depression.
This month is Suicide Awareness Month.
This is. That's why I mean, I feel like it's so important, especially as Americans. We're so into like ourselves and our house and our business, and we don't want to hear no one else's business. But that other person's business might help you with a job, with anything that I have now is from talking to people. Like, I didn't know about temporary rent assistance when I was homeless. I was on the bus and probably going, I don't know, welfare somewhere. And the lady was like, she started talking to me, and I was just like, do you know where I could, I'm like, do you know where I can get some help? And she's like, oh yeah, they have this program. And I'm
you young at the time, so you were like, what, 18, 19, 20 at the time?
I was 23, I think.
Yeah, so
something like that. Yeah, but I didn't know anything about the world, like I said.
Exactly.
So just
that's why me
talking to people.
Witness background. Yeah.
Even the envy thing came from me talking to someone on the bus. And
more than
more than just saying like, oh hi. I'm just like, oh, where are you going? Oh, just. It's crazy outside,
You didn't know what you're doing back then. You made a great club promoter though, because that's what club promoters do. Event promoters do. They talk to people. They network.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, that's the best thing. But you're doing an even greater service by helping and building. You know what I'm saying, doing things in your community and other people's communities and other people's lives, which is truly appreciated. That's something that this planet, this culture, this civilization is missing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lack of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get it wrong. There's a lot of good people out there, but there's not a lot of good people out there giving back.
Right.
I mean, people are constantly taking and taking and taking. So I appreciate it. I mean, people that you help, I know they truly appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they help me. Like I said, it's not. I'm motivated by what I get back when I see. We didn't talk about it, but I started Rutgers Future Scholars when I started Rutgers.
There's too much stuff on this list.
I
started on the first page. I might hit a couple of things on the other pages, but I didn't get past the first page. We got like 6 pages.
Yeah,
I know.
And
I had to like shorten it up a little bit.
Right. Yeah. To see those kids graduate college. They're from New Brunswick and they were low income students, and they graduated last year. It was just like we didn't know what we were doing, but we did it.
That's what's up.
You see, like they're like got better jobs than I got now. Making good money, flying around the world. But it's rewarding.
That's the impact you're making people's lives.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's what's up. So we definitely gonna have you back and talk some more. We're gonna cover a lot more stuff.
Okay. Look forward to it.
So meantime, shout out to my man Blessed Child, who of course he's a sponsor of the podcast. I mean, not the podcast. Pardon me, y'all. The Blog Talk Radio, Stretched Out Radio. Shout out to my man, Blessed Child for that. Of course, shout out to my wife. You know what I'm saying, the kids, the family, everybody's always doing what I do. Top, I'm gonna holler at you in a minute, bro. I see you call me earlier. I was at the barbershop and I rushed over here to do this real quick. We're gonna talk about, we gotta talk about. So I'm gonna holler at you, Top. Shout out to you, my brother. Of course, the number one host in the tri-state. You know what I mean? Take my Funny Bone Comedy Show. Be back next Saturday, September the 21st. At the theater Open Arts Pack. If y'all get their tickets, you better get them now. They're going fast. So I advise you to get them as soon as possible. That's what I'm saying about that. So next Saturday, September 21st, we'll be back. Take my Funny Bone Comedy Show. Matter of fact, Top gonna be on the show this Wednesday. We're talking about that 1 year anniversary. We did it, y'all. Everybody that came out supported. You know what I'm saying, thank you.
Clap it up for
Hey,
that.
listen, this the cutthroat business is hard.
Right,
You know
yeah.
what I mean, build up an audience, you know what I'm saying, build up a fan base, and
Mhm.
they constantly come out and support us. You know what I'm saying, all the upcoming comedians, everybody. Shout out to my man Kava, DJ Kava. You know what I'm saying, he held me down, and always still holding me down for every show. You know what I mean. And like I said, once again, shout out to everybody that supports. Shout out to Miss Howard, of course, of the CEO of Howard Healthy Choices Cultural Center here at the Briggs Library, 1115 Greenwood Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey. And I mean, she allows us to hold this and put together this podcast here. So be on the lookout for the Kid Speaks podcast. We'll be back this Wednesday. Got a special guest, Devon All will be in the building for that. So we're actually doing a double podcast thing on Wednesday. So, you know what I mean? We kind of doing our thing. So make sure everybody tune in. You know what I mean, I'm going home and watch some football. Give me a hoagie or something. You know I mean, vegetarian, so probably tuna or cheese. So, matter of fact, Mediterranean hoagie. That's one of those things.
That's good. I'm a vegetarian, so I like that.
That's what's up. And then, like I said, the rest of this is football, y'all. Enjoy your day. Mr. Green, Mr. Freedom Dan Green, I got you, bro. I'll hit you up. We'll get you on here as soon as possible. Get the schedules worked out. And, you know, I know you got a lot to talk about. It's been a while since we had you on the show, so I got you, bro. One more shout out to my man Billy the Kid. Got his comedy show coming up on Thursday, September the 26th. Good with dates. 26th gonna be at Champions. That's the sports bar. It's my man Billy the Kid. Always support me holding this down on our end. God show that brother love. So make sure y'all, after y'all go to my show on the 21st, his show is that Thursday on the 26th. Make sure y'all support that as well. Champion Sports Bar on Chamber Street. You know what I mean? So another day, we out of here. Anything else real quick?
No.
All right, we out. Global Unlimited Podcast. I said it so fast I get tongue tied.
Speaking Spanish.
So I took one class, one semester.
Yes.
Global Unlimited Podcast, and we out, y'all. Peace.